Okay, it is 1:30. I will call our regular commission meeting to order. All commissioners are present. It is, let's see, what do we got? Let's put around the room for introductions. We'll start with you, Matt.
Jeff Devlin, Port Morrow.
Jacob Kane, Port Morrow.
Mike Hughes, Warren Fire. Mark Patton, Port Morrow.
Lisa Middleton, Port Morrow. Ivan Hendricks, Port Morrow.
Greg Smith, Columbia Development Authority.
Erica Foreman.
Jake Madison, I'm here today on behalf of now.
Emily Collins, Columbia Development Authority.
Brandon Gabbard, Gold Farms.
Greg Griggs, Foreman Chamber of PCD and Sage for that. Katie Murray, with Ben. Kim Coyle, Wicked. Eric Foster, Port Morrow.
Okay, online you have Calvin Bennett. Calvin.
Yes, hello, sorry.
Get your name and who you're with.
Oh, Calvin Bennett, Representative Greg Smith.
Thank you. John Doherty,
John Doherty, City of Ebner.
Marcine,
Marcine Brigham, Port Morrow.
Sam Tucker, Port General Counsel.
that's all you got.
Okay. All right, then moving on our agenda here, any conflicts of interest for declared? Anything out there? For anybody? Okay. Very good. Next is public comment period. Did anybody sign up for it?
I did.
Okay. I think normally we get 2 minutes, I think.
Okay, good afternoon, my name is Mike Hughes, I'm the Fire Chief, Warden Fire. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, as you know, there's an entity that's trying to make a play for some CDA land that the port is transitioning to. I just wanted to put into the record and bring, our contract with the fire district and the CDA. It's been in effect since, August of 2023. It's to remain in effect until the land is actually annexed by our organization. That can't be done without a legal description, and as I understand it, that will come at some point. The whole point of this is I wanted you to have this in your record so that you could read it for yourselves and understand that we do have a contract with the CDA property. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, yep. Is there anything else on there?
Did you all get copies of that?
I did not, I was okay, I'm sorry.
We'll get mine.
Okay, yeah. You didn't see anything else on the list out there?
No, that was it.
Okay. Okay, moving on to consent agenda, for November 13th and November 25th meeting.
I would move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that. Yeah. John has moved and Rick is second, for that consent agenda. Any other discussion on there? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Unanimous. Okay, next is legislative updates. Anybody's there? We don't have anybody.
Kirby was here this morning for a meeting and he was driving back to Portland, so,
Okay,
unless he pops on the meeting later,
okay.
we'll catch him then, but, and Ryan is,
Disneyland.
Okay, well.
No children.
Okay, well, we'll move on from legislative updates then. Next on old business is the CDA update. I think Greg Smith is gonna give that update.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair, for the record, I'm Greg Smith, Director of the Columbia Development Authority. Have a handful of notes I'll share with you and then take any questions as you may have them. Foremost on the CDA's mind right now is the litigation between Umatilla County and the Columbia Development Authority, the Port of Morrow, Port of Umatilla and Morrow County. We anticipate the judge on January 25th, 2025, rendering a decision on whether or not litigation should continue forward. For those who are unaware, this litigation primarily focuses on a vote that occurred, back months ago. To, have the properties divided up and distributed to the two border boards, Port Morrow and Port Umatilla. I do want to make sure we manage expectation, even though we anticipate on the 25th of January, a decision by the judge. I think it's very realistic for us to assume that decision is going to be punted down the road. And we may not know really anything for another 6 to 12 months. So I do want to manage that expectation. And in the ideal situation, you would know by the 25th whether or not the judge will be proceeding forward. But I think we do need to assume that will be the case. So that's foremost on our mind. I do want to let folks know during our last board meeting on the 26th. On the 26th, Umatilla County did bring forward for a third time a motion to overturn the previous votes. And again, in the 3-2 motion, or 3-2 vote, excuse me, that motion failed. I want to let you know that we are proceeding forward with the finalization of road design. We're at approximately 95%. Of the road design, and as folks will recall, House Bill 2017 allocated $7 million for the construction of the road out on CDA properties. The CDA board and the court have been very adamant that we make sure those dollars are distributed evenly between the two counties, and we believe we have a plan that reflects that sentiment. We will be asking representatives from the Port of Morrow and representatives from Umatilla County, whether it's a tribe or Umatilla County, have to take a final look at the design to make sure it's exactly in line with what the direction was for us. We believe it is. Once we get that final thumbs up, we'll bring it to the board one last time. If the board gives this final concurrence, we'll be ready to proceed forward with construction. So we're excited about that. At the end of the day, we anticipate 3.5 million-ish will be invested on both sides of the county line. One of the issues that we are needing to work through on that, however, is putting together a line of credit. One of the things that we need to make sure is that as we're working with our local contractors, that they're getting paid in a timely manner. While we have every expectation of ODOT will work diligently to get us reimbursed in a timely manner, at the end of the day, we don't want to have any of our small subs hanging out there. So we have reached out to the Bank of Eastern Oregon. The Bank of Eastern Oregon has shared that they'd like to have further discussions on this issue, because at the end of the day, they want to know who the guarantors of a line of credit would be. And as some of you may know or may not know, currently Umatilla County has stated that they will not be participating in any financial contributions or the security of credit. And so one of the things the board is going to deal with is have that conversation as to who will be signers on a line of credit, and whether that means if only a handful of the members sign that others do not, and that would be an issue for the board to work through. Let's see here. I want to let you know that we currently are dealing with 2 grievance letters. We received one at our previous board meeting on the 26th of November from Kelly Dory. And then I received another one this morning, and I don't need disrespect to Kate's wrong email address, so I just received it. Again, from Kelly Dory, both of them are critiquing the process in which we're holding our public meetings. He's been turned over to legal counsel at Schwab, Williamson and Wyatt, and will provide Schwab with all the information needed so we can provide the story with the responses that she's requesting. I want to let you know we've extended the Cleaver farming lease for an additional year. This is really unfortunate in that, as those of you who have been following the CDA know, we were hoping to have the land transfers occurred with the tribe darn near a year ago, but that is not the case. And so, because that land has not transferred and we're not eligible to transfer a small section of real estate over to Cleaver Farming, we've had to extend their lease agreement. We've extended that for the 6th time. And go for another calendar year. We're hoping this is the very last time that will occur. For those who may not be aware, there's a property line adjustment process that has to occur in Umatilla County, not on the Morrow County side, but on the Umatilla County side. And we've been working with the planning department, and we've been unable thus far to get completion for October's that will occur.
I have a question on that. Can you tell me the value of that is?
So the 6th extension, the amount was 0. Because when this was negotiated, I actually wasn't on board yet. When it was negotiated, there was a set annual amount. And I'll have to get you that amount. They have since run through the total amount that was owed on the lease. And so, as soon as we complete the property line adjustment, limited or no fee, that property will be transferred over. So effectively what I'm saying is they didn't make these payments for a number of years. When that was negotiated, my understanding is these payments were to be applied towards payment price. And that payment amount has to be. I'll make sure I give you additional information here. Want to let you know that the CDA has completed its most recent audit. There was one finding. The finding was we needed to be submitting an annual budget. We have taken steps to correct this, and we anticipate by the end of this week. Not only will our QuickBooks records be updated, and the reason I share that with you is with Debbie being out, that has created a little bit of challenge for us. But with that said, we have records updated, we'll now be able to complete our annual budget, and that will be submitted to the state of Oregon as a required exercise. So we want to let you know that's completed. And we do want to thank Eileen and our board for all the work they do in assisting in that effort. So I didn't thank you.
Oh,
Yes,
I just want to call your attention to one thing. I gave them some bad advice a year ago. There is an ORS that ends in 318. I can't remember what the first 3 digits are, which says that intergovernmental entities are exempt from, or accepted, they use the word accepted, from Oregon local budget law. If I kept reading to the end of it, there's a section ending in 0.900 that gives a different set of budget rules. I didn't keep reading. And so,
And so maybe mentioned that it needs to.
yeah,
and that's kind of the thinking we've been going on these, here in our board meeting. Been told that before.
yeah, and in my defense, there is a nonprofit guide issued by Portland State University that ends with not subject to local budget law, and it also doesn't go on to say, oh, but instead, they're subject to this budget law back here, so. Anyway, no, we had the discussion and I gave them, I guess I should say incomplete information.
I would assure you that today we are so grateful for the assistance we received. So I mean, thank you for all you do.
It is very frustrating though, and it is something that probably needs to be fixed in those statutes, so it's clear in the first one, that there's another qualifier later for a different situation, because it flat out reads as it's exempt.
It is interesting, without going too far down this path, our legal counsel heard with what Eileen was sharing, and then the auditor came back and said, but, and so we have conflicting information. And so I think you're right, Lisa, we need to bring clarity to that down in city. So, the good news is, at the end of the day, the checkbook balanced, we were able to demonstrate where all the resources have been deposited and or spent, and so I'm sure that we have. One of the outstanding issues that the port needs to be concerned about is one of our commitments to the U.S. Army within the programmatic agreement is the preservation of cultural resources. And of those cultural resources, we have a historic igloo, and we have the Oregon Trail. The igloo is on the Umatilla County side, the Oregon Trail portion is on the Morrow County side. The cost for that preservation between the two is approximately $700,000. Okay, right now, the Columbia Development Authority does not have those resources. Yet it is an obligation that we need to meet. I would share with the board. In previous administrations of the CDA, there was an understanding that a real estate transaction would occur. And that the proceeds from that real estate transaction would effectively be put into the CDA's checking account to manage cash flow for 4 to 6 years, somewhere in that period of time. Because of, this weekend, because of the board decision, we have not made that real estate transaction, and as a result, the expenses have not gone away, but the revenue to meet those expenses has not occurred.
Was there a deadline on these projects?
Yeah, so we, within our grant with the OLDCC, who's the funding entity of the CEA, we shared with them by the end of March that we would have certain benchmarks met, of which is preservation of these two cultural resources. And so all the planning and design has been completed. We are ready to proceed forward with construction, preservation, but right now we don't have the resources to do it. So one of the things that we'll be doing at the next board meeting is I'm going to be very candid with the board that we have this obligation that's sitting there. And unless the partners, of which one is choosing not to contribute, unless the partners want to step up, we don't have the resources to meet that obligation unless we allow for a real estate transaction to proceed with the plan. Okay. I have to say, just get ready for a special session next week, sir.
Greg, does the lawsuit preclude land sale right now? Does the lawsuit preclude the land sale?
No, sir.
It doesn't.
No, sir. Yeah. And we do have a company that has made public presentations, so I don't think I'm violating any public trust in saying that Trans Canada has expressed interest in 100 acres of property at 65,000 an acre. Now, today that property most likely would sell by a higher amount. That this is the conversation that's been going for over 2 years. Started as a land sale, then the board wanted to move to a lease. We negotiated a lease, and the board decided they want to move from a lease back to a sale. Then board decisions on whether to transfer the property or not hit with everything, and hence our cash flow has effectively dried up, but the obligations have not.
The need for money on the cultural resources preservation is by March of 25, or were you referring to March 24 benchmark?
So in order for us to apply for our next grant, which will begin starting in about a month, we will need to address how we have handled the previous benchmarks we said we were going to meet, and then create new benchmarks. And so one of the challenges the CBA is going to have is how we met the existing benchmarks, how we handle the existing resources. And so there's going to have to be an explanation on that as we ask for additional resources for the future. And so I would anticipate the next 4 to 6 months are going to be a very challenging conversation with the CBA.
Please.
I will also say that there's purchase and sale agreements that are already contracted by CDA to the two boards. So that are now in litigation, so right now, the property really, I would say it's still tied up with the purchase and sale agreement.
Yes, except for the 100 acres that we had set outside of on the Trans-Canada piece on the utility county side.
So that was outside of the motion was made passed.
Correct. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are. It's a fun time to be director. But you know what? I think it will all work together. I think if, we'll just, everyone roll in the same direction. I think we're gonna get through these challenges, and I think at the end of the day, we're gonna be pretty proud of what we've accomplished. And, I want the folks to know how much we appreciate you folks serving as a fiduciary. Obviously, that's not a fun role for the board to be in right now, but it's an important role. And, whatever we can do to, assist in making it easy for you, please let us know.
A question, Greg, on the sale of any property, like Trans-Canada, is that, could it be, soon? Do you think they'll re-engage in?
So I think I'm gonna bring it forward to the board at our December 11th meeting. I'm gonna ask for authorization to, again, reach out to Trans-Canada to try and proceed forward. If the board gives me direction, I'll reach out to Trans-Canada. I'll share with them what we had previously discussed. See if they're still interested. If the board gives me direction, then what I would like to do is try to proceed forward and close that transaction. Again, it's not the ideal real estate transaction. It provides the cash flow necessary for the CDA, so we're not having to ask our 5 partners to assist in these expenses, but allowing the property to pay for it. So do I think the opportunities there? Yes.
I attended via Zoom my first time at the CDA board meeting, and it was interesting to listen to the discussions. One thing that came up that, Joe, you mentioned is, that you bring the motion, Utah County motion back for discussion with this group, and I assume that's why their motion is in our packet today, and so I guess we'll get there when we get there. But the second thing that I noticed was that there was a rather heated exchange on the fire service area between Erie Fire and Gordon Fire, and I asked for copies of the memorandum of understanding, and I remember Chief's comments there that hey, we have an agreement in place. This discussion is null and void or not applicable, but then I also get a copy of the Erie and Rural Fire Protection District memorandum of understanding that was executed on 12/11/23. So I guess I need clarification on what that means. There's 2 MOUs in place and
2 separate pieces of property, sir.
2 separate pieces of property.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Could you describe those, Chief, for
Yeah,
what area you're talking about?
And it's just generalized, okay, so there's an area that's to the west of the Oregon military piece that's on doing the railroad tracks and roughly the canal. About 4,300 acres. That's under contract with us. Then there's another piece that's north of that, that's under contract with Erie Fire. I believe that's on the other side of the canal where they have access, where we don't have access. So in my mind, these MOUs make perfect sense. But that's what we stand as today. I have no rights to go after Erie Fire's piece of land. And according to the ORS's, either does, Erie doesn't have any rights to our piece.
So are these pieces of ground annexed into service areas already or not?
No, because there's,
They're not.
look, the USO side is completely done, and usually if you one's got theirs.
Right.
But, because the county is requesting, legal descriptions, so they can actually annex those properties into our districts. Until we're able to get those, we're bound by the contract until we can actually annex it, and if you can see, we're both in the same thing, right? We provide service until that annex happens.
Question then, so this is in the hands of the county right now, right? Or there's no discussion or decision made by the CDA board at all as far as who services what area, is that right? Okay,
And part of the delay, John, is, the surveyor we're working with,
Mhm.
the CDA had a delinquent invoice to this gentleman, because the Confederated Tribes of Umatilla had not paid their invoice. Hence, this gentleman did not want to go further into an account's, payable, receivable, depending on your perspective, until that was brought current. It has now been brought current, CTYR has made their payment, and so now we're requesting that survey work to be completed.
when is the likely decision or ability for the county court to make a decision on this question?
My understanding is as soon as I turn in a legal land description, they'll put it on their agenda. Make it a public hearing and it'll be done.
If they vote in the affirmative.
Correct.
I guess I'm just gonna express my opinion that because of the development that's going to be there. And there's $2 billion worth of investment here in Boardman already as a tax base. And Oregon has 0. I have a hard time also giving that to Boardman Fire where I know there might be access issues, chief, and I mean no disrespect to it at all, I don't. But I just think that for Oregon Fire to be able to at least stay current, I'm just mentioning this to you guys, this commission. I'm in favor of, I'm gonna probably advocate that hopefully Oregon Fire gets that in their service districts. Only because it'll allow them to grow, right now they can't grow.
So I'd like to address that, sir, if I may, is that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, Oregon Fire was offered the entire piece, back in 2014, 15, I believe, and they turned that down. And at that point, that's why they came to us. And I think it's also important to mention that, we're working with OMD to place full-time apparatus and personnel on the base, which will give us access in about less than 60 seconds to the area. So there's a lot of other pieces in this that I'd be happy to discuss with you, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's not really this commission's.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. I just wanted you to have a little bit of background of how we got today.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
I have questions too. How did Umatilla County get their annexation of their district without a legal description?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
But I assume they don't have a legal description either. There's no.
I will have to do that for you.
Okay. I would have just assumed that each tract would have a legal description attached to it on the transfer.
I do know we have a answer to this, but I don't have a sheet on that.
Okay.
I'll get to that.
And the Oregon 640 acres is the EFU grounds that the board had been trying for years to acquire. Just so everyone knows, there is no legal access to that 640 acres from Morrow County right now. That access that even we will have is coming from through Umatilla County to get to that property.
Did you? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's great. Another question, I think our board needs some clarification on, it, maybe some direction. As far as, the motion back on the 20th, September 20th, to reduce payroll.
Yes.
Can you give us some guidance on that?
Yes. So, what I would share with the commission is, as soon as that motion was made, a day or so later, I contacted the board and asked for my salary to be reduced, based upon board action. However, the board does not have the authority, the CDA board does not have the authority to make that decision for staff. That's the executive director's role, and I've chosen not to reduce that until such time as the board has had an opportunity to do and complete my evaluation. And it's right in the intergovernmental agreement.
Okay. And is that, how does that work with the motion? A motion that happened on the 20th,
So,
just because it,
so in order for the port to navigate the government. Two staff members, they would get a memo from me. And you have to provide that memo. Hence, their salaries have remained the same. I'll share with you how I came up with this decision. One is going back and reading the intergovernmental agreement between the 5 partners. And then second was reaching out to legal counsel and seeking their advice. And their thought was due process was not provided to the 2 employees. And should I have proceeded forward with reducing those salaries and demanding payback, that could have put the CDA in further legal complication.
So that's one of the responsibilities of the executive directors, is represented in there.
Correct. And so just ended, Commission Chair, if the CDA board thinks I've made the wrong decision, they can replace me. They can put in a director who would, take a different path, and, then they can proceed the way they want to. As it stands right now, I will not put the CDA in a legal predicament, by violating the intergovernmental agreement or violating legal counsel's advice.
Understandable. I agree. So we're kind of under the assumption that the IGA is the employer then, correct, for you?
So my understanding is from, communication I've had with Sam Tucker and with Schwab, Williams and Wyatt, is the Columbia Development Authority is our employer. And that the Port of Morrow is the fiduciary, who by agreement has said they'll handle these responsibilities. But at the end of the day, the 5 members of the CDA, hired me and fired me.
is all right to talk about the Umatilla County's offer here. I've got that to everyone. Like Greg said, there was a vote. And it failed. I didn't know if there was any other questions or anything else you wanted to know on that.
Well, I guess when I was listening, I'm sorry, I'll interrupt there. I just heard you say you're gonna bring it back to this commission, and that's why I figured it was in here. I didn't know what the intention was, so it sounded like all the members were taking it back to their respective boards, so I didn't know what it first was. So, well.
I think it's, I wish there was a way to negotiate better than, it would have been better to talk about this issue before having a motion for the. But I think it's something to look at, it would hopefully be something to work forward. If Umatilla Port of Umatilla and Umatilla County can come to some sort of agreement. But this, to a large degree, this would work good for Port of Morrow and Morrow County, this motion.
I would definitely like to talk about this in executive session.
You would, okay. All right.
Is it required to talk about an executive session, or is it?
Well, right now we're in litigation with our partners, so I think it's fair.
Okay.
Good point.
Yeah. Okay, I guess my intent was for our board to see it and, you know, we start with that process. Okay. Any other questions, on CDA update? I think that's got everything I wrote down. Okay. Next is the WIPIA application update.
Okay, so we are headed, Mark and I and David are headed to DC for a meeting with EPA on Wednesday. We have been answering questions as of this morning. Still trying to fulfill all of the requirements that they're asking of us. Details, I would say, are that they had considered a takeout financing, so we're going to be talking about that on Wednesday. they suggested that we go to the state's Clean Water Revolving Loan Fund for, financing there. They suggested $50 million. We applied for $100 million to the state of Oregon. Right now on their, what's the name of their plan, their list? They're
The intended use plan, was that intended use plan, was that what it was called?
What?
The intended use plan?
Intended use.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right now, it lists the Board of Morrow for $50 million. We are completing a document share file with the state of Oregon. Maybe we're complete, Jason, you know, with everything they requested.
Yeah, we still have the
The,
revised budget for secondary treatment.
so we've got one document left. They're looking at the financing piece of this. We are continuing to ask for $100 million out from them to stretch it over a period of 3 to 4 years. And instead of the 50 million over 2, so. That's the update there. We'll know more after this next meeting. We did, I believe the governor's office might be attending the meeting with you on Wednesday. We were in person.
Good environment.
And that was his offer.
Okay. Next is Kinzu MDC building.
So this update is to let you know that Kim and I have talked. And we've decided that we're going to put this conversation off until next quarter of 2025. With discussions between more development, with Fed and us on what the intentions were for the building out there. Any comments there, Kim?
No, I think it'd be more productive to start over fresh. I'm really interested in being part of the conversation so that, maybe we decide if we move forward or it's just going away. I hope we can find a way to move forward. I think it's a great project. It would be a great benefit to, the people. There are people looking for this type of opportunity down there. But I do know that since the beginning of this, there's been a lot of increase in costs. And it's not a benefit to anybody if no one can afford it. So I do appreciate that we can start the conversation again. And I do think that get to this last quarter, which is crazy for everybody, and start fresh.
It'd be nice to, to be able to address then issues of ownership and ability to borrow versus not owning it, and then prevailing ways like that too. So that work through all those things would be good. Right. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Very good, okay. Any other old business?
I will let you know that the Morrow County land use decision for the requirements for our property, our farm acquisition. We are appealing that decision to the Morrow County Court.
We're reducing the setback. I think we shared the map with you guys. Huh?
The board is going to appeal
Yeah,
the
we're going to.
decision of the Morrow.
So what was the decision?
Their decision was to take basically a 1,300-foot setback. So if you look at that map, Joe, you see the little cutouts that we did. There, what they wanted to do was go halfway. And
Yeah.
take up all the half circles.
Yeah, basically,
we're-
the center of the field.
Center of the field, and what we're proposing is a 150-foot setback. Which should relieve any issue that they might have on those streets. As you can see on that, basically what it does, is it shuts the center pivot off. As it gets to that location, puts that last span, and then it carries across. If we didn't know about this going into the meeting. We probably could have had a conversation about it, but it was handed out during the meeting. We didn't get a chance to discuss it.
Jacob, you want to give any comment here?
I would just add the direction of the meeting was, I think the applicant or the objector was, they submitted the map to show 150-foot setback. Their irrigation specialist provided that at the meeting, and ultimately the planning commission instituted a 1,320-foot setback. So we're asking to go back to the map that was submitted by the objection.
Person is actually objecting.
Yes, yes.
And that half circle setback was on all four of these.
It was on 3 half circles, and then the circle to the southwest was a quarter of the circle, so it was an impact of 210 acres. Where this proposal is an impact of, I forget what it is, 15 acres or something.
When is that? The hearing or something?
You know what it is?
It would be, I think there's a notification, so from the time of the appeal, which was submitted last Friday, they've got to notify, and I think we're still in December. I think it's the 3rd week in December.
If they have a meeting.
Yeah, it's, there's a potential date. I just don't remember the exact date.
Okay, anything else? Okay, moving on to new business, Alluvia Wells. Okay,
Yeah, this was, I think you get new Rick are aware of this project. It was discussed back in 2015,
Yeah.
16. It's a mediation project, and Shakespeare, for it now, has been working on this for a lot of years. Shakespeare to do a presentation.
okay, you have the floor, Jake.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time. So I believe in your packets, you have a white paper from GSI. It's been handed out to you guys. It kind of summarizes the intent of the project that we've been working on in Fort. Everybody's aware of the long status in the region and the nitrate groundwater issues. And one of the things that's been frustrating for us, sitting through Oklahoma committee meetings and working with DEQ on stuff, that there's been an extreme focus on limitations of potential input, but there hasn't been any work done on a treatment process on what's in place. And so what we're proposing to do is outlined in your packet, and it is a pilot project that would essentially be step 1 of aquifer dialysis project. And so what we're hoping to accomplish with this is to be able to monitor the nitrate levels that we're pulling out of the groundwater, hopefully see a decrease in them over time. And then if we need the ability to, it's really easy to turn the same infrastructure into a recharge project also, so we can put clean water back into there. And so the goal of the project is to be able to pull out about 500,000 pounds of nitrate a year, which for reference sake, I think is offsets about 15,000 rural septic systems as far as what their contribution to the nitrate problem could be. And if I did my math right, the first DEQ violation for supposed over applications from 2018 to 2021 was about 500,000 pounds also. So in 1 year, we will pull that back out and have a very significant mediation project for the alluvial water.
I apologize.
So maybe not excusable, but that is. And so what we're hoping to do is use this as a test project. We're working with now in the port on finding lots of different alternative sources. There's some grant programs that we're looking at applying for. There's some both on the state and federal level, where we can get a very large percentage of this project paid for with public dollars because of the environmental benefit associated with removing nitrates. And if this works, if the pilot project works, it serves as a template to go out into other regions, West Glen, or Irrigan, or any other parts of the county that have shallow sandy alluvial aquifers where we could pull that water out and then either replace it with cleaner pressure water and start to actually maybe fix some of the Oklahoma issues. So in a nutshell, that's kind of the high level, I guess, details of the project we're working on.
Could say you're speeding up the natural process.
Hopefully, yeah,
Yep. So pulling from high nitrate wells, diluting it and running it out to the CID system, that's correct?
correct. Yeah, so we'll be taking that, spreading it out over like 32,000 acres, and it'll be diluted in the canal system to below the drinking water standard. Yeah.
There's, what is DEQ, is there still DEQ approval pending or not?
This doesn't have
This doesn't need that.
any DEQ involvement at all.
Sure, I see a downside to this. We're gonna pull nitrates out.
Have you got a starting point as the location that you might?
So in the first water right application, there were 7 well sites that were identified. We worked with OWRD and GSI on selecting well sites that we thought would yield well. We came back in, we drilled test holes, there was 6-inch test holes that we marked, and we went in and pump tested all of them. Some of them we found lots of water. Some of them that we expected to find water at, we didn't find any before we hit the basalt. And so these are all of these wells stop at the top of the basalt, so it's all shallow, it's not deep basalt, it's shallow alluvial groundwater. And so what we did after that was we went back and, did a little bit more exploratory drilling. And then filed a permit amendment to relocate the wells to the spots where there actually was water. And so we've gone through and done a bunch of those steps, yeah.
So where's the clean water gonna come from to recharge that system? And is, I remember this project coming through years and years and years ago or something similar to it. And, the CID, I mean, it's not just one user on the CID, is CID, on board with this project as well?
There, yes, so from that standpoint, it's been discussed at length, amongst the board. And it has been approved and it's been signed off on by CID. So you're correct, in the previous, historical, there was some concern there, and then through some lengthy education processes and conversations and discussing the importance of trying to fix the Oklahoma. Everybody was able to justify that it was the right thing to do. So
And the fresh water?
So the potential freshwater could be, it would be Columbia River. It could be water that is dumped on in a recharge basin upstream. The goal is to try to flush nitrates down through the profile to the wells away from any other potential, so that the recharge basins most likely would be located upstream, or up gradient, I guess you would say. And so we could put water up there during the winter months, when we have winter water rights available out of the Columbia. Put the water in there, let it soak down through the alluvial aquifer, and then we'll pump it back out of the wells at the bottom. And the goal is to see an increase here, a decreasing trend in nitrate levels over time as we continue to keep using the term aquifer analysis, because it's the best way I can think to describe it, but work through that process.
So the recharge systems don't have a DEQ permit attached to them?
A recharge system, this is the first step of the project. We're trying to pull it out and see if it naturally recharges and cleans up first. And if we get into this a few years and haven't seen any trend change in that, then we can start exploring the actual recharge piece as far as putting the fresh water on the top and pulling it down. We're hoping that we can do it without having to do that.
So what are next steps then, sorry?
So next steps is we're gonna, with your guys' blessing, we'll continue working with the port. And then, now we'll continue to kind of work some of the channels in Salem, and with the federal level, and try and bring you guys a bunch of money so we can build a project.
Yes, I agree with other projects of this nature.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as alluvial well fields and recharge projects, I would say that GSI probably is one of the most experienced farmers in the state on that.
And that one with the for water resources. And we're talking about this very kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, very good. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time.
Okay, next is amended and restated resolution 2024-16.
So if you go to your resolution tab, you will see the amended resolution. The change in the resolution is 50 million being replaced with 100 million. And we are trying to get this prepared so that we can send it on to the state as part of the package. And hopefully that we're successful with 100 million.
Move approval of the amended stated resolution number 2024-16. You want me to read that title in its entirety, or is that sufficient?
I think that's the resolution.
I'll second that.
Okay, John is moved and Kelly is seconded. Any other discussion, questions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Okay, next is with bed, end of year report. Kim.
Hi, thank you for your time. I'm not gonna give a report again, so I'm on the agenda lower. You probably can do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna abbreviate this because you hear me every month, and, basically what we're trying to let the board know is what we're doing in our community with the funding that we're receiving from, Columbia River Enterprise Zone. So WICFED takes seriously the stewardship of the funding that we receive and the impact that we have on our community. We have, at the beginning of the year, we set aside, we budget, finding out what funding we're getting, and we budget it into different categories: housing, business enhancement, senior assistance, and childcare assistance, and then we have a community development that is a one-time open and closed grant opportunity, usually in late spring for nonprofits, special districts, and municipalities. So the housing rehabilitation grant program has, or the housing part of that has the housing rehabilitation. Last year, we funded $113,000 worth of repairs for non-owner occupied or new purchases. And that generated $373,000 worth of improvements. We also have a demo and utility extension, and last year, we spent $22,000 on that program, and that is just if you have a lot and you need sewer and water to it, which is usually about $7,000. We'll pay 100% of the cost up to $15,000. If there's a house or a lot with houses on it that cannot be fixed, we'll pay up to $15,000 to have those removed. The caveat is that within 20 or within 12 months, you have to do something with the property, either build a home on it or sell it to somebody that is going to create housing. And then we also have, we just started a new construction grant, which is for if you're building anything 200,000 or more, or a percentage of that, but you can't hardly get anything for under 200 anymore, unfortunately. That at the beginning, after you purchase the lot and got your permits, we will fund you $20,000 to start. And then at the end of the project, we will pay another $20,000 to offset the difference between the market rate of properties in our Hebner area versus what it costs you to do that. And we just kind of did a study, and the gap's about 40. So it takes the risk out. And that's for owners or contractors doing spec housing. And we just took on 2 projects, and so we've paid out this year, 20,000, or I'm sorry, 40. So that's our housing projects. Also in our housing projects, WICFED has the, we help with construction projects on our own. We did the 3 townhouse duplexes, and those were successful, and we sold them and recouped most of our money. And this year we're doing, if we could just scoot through to we're doing a tiny home, but not tiny, everybody keeps saying that, like, we're doing a, well, right there. We're doing 1,000 square foot small home on downtown. We have 2 lots, and it's 1 level, open floor plan, 2 bedrooms, 1.5 baths with washer and dryer unit. The back side has a little porch, which we're building it on the creek right behind, just right off Main Street, so it's walkable.
we see stairs here, but we're currently, this is for people that are transitioning, they're older, that might have a 4-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom family home, don't want to do the maintenance or the upkeep, these will be low maintenance yards. And, down the road, these porches are big enough and there's area in front to ramp. So if you did get to the point where you needed a 1 level, no stairs, this house can easily be converted to that. And, that's our goal, is to get we have older population that cannot take on a project like this, because there's a lot of steps to get to construction and through construction. And so we're gonna manage this project, and then at the end, we're gonna sell it to a older person, hopefully, that's our goal, that will then open up their house to one of the many families there that aren't gonna be able to afford new construction, that would be happy to take on some of these nicer, older homes that are family size. So this is our construction project, and that will be starting, well, we're in the permit process, so probably won't get to it till right after the first, and weather permitting, we can get into the to the demo, or the excavation and concrete.
What's your cost estimate?
I have cost estimate, you don't wanna know.
No, I think you do.
Yeah.
You do, actually.
So we're trying to do this not builder's grade, because it is people that have nice homes now. But construction costs is averaging between $200,000 and $250,000 a square foot, no matter what you do. And so we're gonna hit right at about 225 on these for 1,000 square foot home. And I don't think that's gonna include landscaping.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
awful.
about right.
It's awful, but again, we're looking at this like a wick bed. If you were building this, we're gonna try and sell them in the $200,000 range, which is what houses cost. And that would be us contributing the 40 we would have if someone would have taken this project on. So we're right where we wanted to be, basically, but we have 2 new homes in Hefner.
Will you only sell it to someone that is?
Well, that's our thought. We're gonna try that. This is what I've put out into the public. I have had so many older people come to me because they know we do these this is what we really need. This is what we really need. And I have that happen a lot to me. This is what we really need. And I don't always agree with it, but sometimes I'll break down and do it. And every time it seems to be right. It's what we really need. So if we get these homes done, which we hope to have by early summer, then none of these people are ready, because we've been talking about it for 2 years. Then we'll move on to sell it to somebody that would be happy to live in a 2-bedroom, but it's not really family oriented, it's too small. And we'll do that, but then when the same people come back to me, we probably won't take the project on again, because we'd be more likely to build help participate in construction of family homes. So I'm hopeful that this does what we wanted it to do, because it does kind of trickle down to making everything better. But I do know that sometimes people are never really ready to make the move they think they're ready to make. But this would be a nice soft transition into assisted living or a smaller house. And if this project goes well and we get it done the way we want it to get it done, then the Howard Beth Bryant Foundation is going to look at helping the assisted living take those lots up there and build them into actual transition homes that are helped by the assisted living. So you're living there, but you're not ready to go into a 1-room place. So that's a different project down the road and outside of Wickbed. But we're anxious to see how this turns out. Our first 4 months of marketing are going to be targeted to, we can do that as owners, decide who we're going to sell it to, because we're not public.
I'm intrigued by the project, so I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
How much property do you have, how many of these could you do, or would you just go out and find lots to put more homes on?
We're running into a problem there, because there's a couple, we wanted to keep them close to, walkable. And you get into Hefner and there's floodplain issues everywhere. I mean, we had to kind of go through hurdles to get through this. And so we don't have a lot of, we have 2 more people looking actually right now for the same thing. And maybe they'll be the people that buy this. I don't think so, because they have their own plans in mind, and these are what we're doing. Could sell a lot to them and let them take their project on, but it's really, I think they'll find a place, but this is gonna limit us because we have lots that are over by Haven Park. And that's, 10 blocks from town. It's too far unless you're driving for if you're elderly. And, there's lots available over around, but not a lot. There's not a lot of buildable sites in Hefner because of the floodplain issue. So, but this is something that we would like to see happen. And we'll support it. And I also think that after we get through the hurdles, if someone's interested in it, they'll jump on our $40,000. Because we'll have the basics down and we would help them with plans and we would help them with all of that. And that takes me to, just one other thing. WICFED also funds Hefner Chamber. We collaborate with them. We help pay for the salary for our new executive director. And Katie here, who is the WICFED director, partners a lot with this Katie Murray. Sorry, I meant to introduce her to start with. She works a lot with the chamber and also does a lot with WICFED, and we have a lot of outreach to businesses in our community, and we've done a lot of collaborating with Reinventing Rural. And Katie WICFED gave the chamber some funding for our new, we'll switch back to Market 37, I'm sorry. It's just a picture of a store, there. So, middle of October, Katie and Madison put together funding before that. They took some WICFED funds and leveraged them into a grant from
A variety of them, but the biggest one from Business Oregon.
for $80,000 for some remodel and administration, and we have over 30 vendors in this spot that's on Main Street. It was the old Hefner Chamber office. And in 2.5 months, they generated over $9,000 in sales to these 30 merchants that are small artisans that wouldn't have a place to sell their goods except for maybe online, but it's better to go in and touch. We have a baker that people wait, they know when she's gonna do a drop, and people are in front waiting for her to show up. I'm one of them. And, candles and jewelry, and it's just a really cool spot, and every time I've gone in, there's been like 10 people in there, it's a little crowded. But it's been a really successful program for the Hefner Chamber to coordinate with local people, and they've all joined the chamber, and, hopefully, these people will we also assist with budgeting and business planning. So if you're a startup, then you can go to Katie and work with Brad Addick and Reinventing Rural and founders. And they are doing classes on how to budget and get financing. And, so I think this is going to be a huge economic development tick for Hefner, because already we got 30 people doing something that really didn't have the ability to do it before. And so that's been a really exciting program. In November, we had a strategic plan to make sure that we were meeting the needs of our community, because you can get tunnel vision, you know, you're doing what you do and you think maybe you're doing it right, but people don't come in and tell me I'm doing stuff wrong. I don't know why. And, so anyway, we did have a great turnout for that, and we set up tables. We had one group that was seniors, and we had a person there taking notes and leading conversation. We had senior housing, childcare, business, and we had housing. And so that's what I was gonna say. We did help with the senior housing. WICFED took funding, and we gave the seed money for Seniors Matter, South Morrow County Seniors Matter, and they wanted to start getting lunches once a week back. They didn't have any money, and Jerry came and asked we need 15 or 1,000 to rent the space every week for the year. And so we'll do that. And he took that money, and with help from people helping him write grants, which WICFED does, we let people come in and we'll find the money with the money that they have. And he's raised over $150,000. He has 70+ people a week. And he's also started services for, like, if seniors don't know how to get on the internet and get forms filled out. He has somebody that helps them do that. They have exercise classes. They just have a lot of interaction with the seniors. And just the fact that many people show up every week has been incredible. We also took $250,000 and committed them to the Hefner childcare. We don't have any infant care, and we have very limited childcare. And so we committed $250,000, and Katie went out with the rest of the board and found funding with that money, because it takes money to get money, and they've raised over $900,000 for their capital project. They just don't have any land to put it on, so that's been a big problem. But as soon as they get that, then they're gonna be great. And, so we also funded the re-roof at, the Willow Creek Terrace, which is the assisted living center, and the HVAC at St. Patrick's Senior Center, because their HVAC went out, and we helped them with that. And then we helped them find the rest of the funding to pay for that. So that's one of the things WICFED does. We don't just write checks. We like, come in, tell us about your project. We'll help you get it going. And we've done that a lot with a lot of people, and that's been really very beneficial.
Are you guys, applying administrative fee to that process?
No, we don't. We're all paid, so we just do it as part of our job. So, so what we've determined from our strategic plan is that people are happy with what we're doing. The biggest problem is that we don't have a way to let everybody know what we're doing. We haven't quite figured that out. There's people that know. I mean, Jerry Healy has brought so many people in on the rehab grant. He just comes by, he sees somebody just bought a house or pounding a nail in somewhere, and he'll go, have you been to WICFED? So he's been our best advocate for that, but we haven't really figured that out, and we are gonna work on it. And, we're thinking about, we're gonna get out there. We just started this since we finished our project at the Gazette, where we have, combined office space and also space for people to come and work on projects, that we're going to really start targeting, getting people in there to help them with their business, development, planning, financing. And we're also, gonna continue to help the daycare and senior. We're gonna keep funding those projects. And, one of the thoughts was maybe for housing, we fund mortgage rate buy downs. So like, if you're gonna buy a house, you can come and apply for us to help you find the money, because in the beginning of getting a loan, you can buy points that bring down your interest rates. And that might get people assisted in getting a loan that makes their payments affordable. So that might be, we're gonna look into that, because I don't understand the technical parts of that, but it's something that can happen. So, anyway, we've been really blessed. And last year, Pres gave us, $580,000. And we directly have invested $575,000 of that this year back, not counting this small house project. So we do appreciate the funds, and we work very hard to make, to help people. So, thank you.
Thanks.
And I'll keep you posted on how my house goes. I'm interested.
Yes. I appreciate the report, Ken. That's a lot of stuff.
Well,
We hear about, all year,
we are lucky because our staff, like, I have an assistant, and he is just paid to do this because we have the money to do it, and that was the model to help our community. Because otherwise, we would have to charge administrative fee, and a lot of grant places don't like that. So it gives us an opportunity to apply for more opportunities, because we have the ability to do that, and we're lucky that we have that ability. We understand that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I will say Tori walked in and she's like, I don't have a real better.
And I was a little panicked at the moment. I was like,
Okay, all right, moving on here in our agenda. D, Clean Water Consortium IGA. Everybody should have that in front of it.
Okay, you should have the clean version that was actually signed by the county was on it.
I have a couple comments.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
First of all, and Junior Drago brought it up this morning at the county level, is that it says within the residence properties within the Lib Guama And the Live Guama is an area that encompasses Mitchell County, so I think that needs to be looked at.
And then reserving.
To Morrow County. I'm guessing that's the intent, was Morrow County.
Yeah,
And then maybe I have a little bit of heartache over the amount of money that we're putting in, which is 60,000, and I don't think that that's realistic for what they're proposing to do. Especially if we're gonna hire a manager, that wouldn't even cover managerial wages for that kind of a budget, so I would like to see a better budget prepared before we jump into an IGA that we don't really know. I mean, it seems awfully low.
In conversation with Matt Jensen, he was gonna cover some administrative things for this job, so.
The way I understood it was that we were hiring a manager to do this. Did that manager be hired through one?
I kind of read it like it would be a decision later on about hiring a manager.
I know we had
That's the way I read it.
discussions, we had discussions, Joe, they're not talking about hiring anybody.
This is consortium name.
Yeah,
Or what?
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think there's any intention to hire someone like that.
Not enough, not enough money or.
I wouldn't think so. It seems awfully, for the projects that they're talking about, this seems like it's, I don't know that we, if we sign the agreement, what's our responsibility down the road look like?
It's going to be $60,000 a year. That's a contribution from each of the parties, which is county and the board. I didn't know that there was additional requirements from the parties. I didn't think so.
I don't think there would be any additional until the consortium decides if it would be, and have it required coming back to
each
get
board.
funding.
Yeah. So their purpose then is to go out for grants, if I remember the earlier conversation about our funding for these projects, pull things together. Which I agree with the concept for these middle-sized projects and addressing local concerns.
But who would go get those grants?
Well, I think the managing director would be responsible for doing that for the consortium board. I think that would be his job, I would assume.
As I recall, when they presented it, they indicated that they had the skill level and the availability of Morrow County staff.
So we would, consortium reimburse.
I say,
I'm sure that we will
and I
help.
say we have a skill level, we might have it fine, but we have a skill level.
Yeah.
But like to Kelly's point, 120,000 isn't enough to.
And this is just
Have
the
it direct.
startup, this doesn't say per year, this is just a one-time. I don't believe it says per year, it's just a one-time.
And I'll take the opposite side of that, because I thought $120,000 was a lot of money to start up an IGA. I don't anticipating us going out and entering into a contract for services that would exceed this immediately. This is starting the process.
And it should just be part-time to start, it's not it wouldn't be a 40-hour week position. So,
And I guess if it's gonna, that money's gonna sit there until something happens, but it could be a year from now, it might be 6 months from now, who knows? The way an opportunity might come along.
So 5.3 on this payment consortium funds, each party will timely pay its contribution amount and its share of the operating expenses based on the then applicable contribution schedule. In September each year, consortium will invoice each party for the party's contribution amount, which is set up in an appendix back here of $60,000 a year. So it is an ongoing expense, which I mean, I as a commissioner of the board would be willing to invest in these services, so if we can get water to people. Of course, I would hope that we would leverage it for a lot more.
Kelly's right, we're not gonna need to fund And I'm 6,000. We're hoping to get grants. To get this thing moving forward.
I think part of it was to work together on these things rather than separately and overlap each other.
So it's 2 members and 2 members. Are they going to have other voting members? Are we going to be the only voting members?
I recall.
I know it was 1 staff member, 1 commissioner, but I didn't understand about
There
the
will be
membership.
others that will be brought in on an advisory.
And I guess one comment I would make there with the subcommittee says, when does the public get to speak? I love that. I mean, do they speak at the meetings? There's subcommittees of engineers, there's subcommittees of this and that, but there was no public subcommittee, which I would think they'd want to say, you know, something, or at least be able to.
Well, this is the public body at this point. You know, once this is done, it's a public body, so it'll be a public meeting.
But you mean like public advisory?
Yeah.
Committee.
Yeah, a public buy-in would be
Yeah.
a really big part of this picture.
I would assume that'd be down the road. And part of it.
Well, I think they're gonna have to have.
Yeah,
You know,
I would think so.
For these projects to move forward, like the one here in town, you're gonna have to have some buy-in there, because they're gonna have a water bill, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, there was talk there too, John, about building and give a service. And you can hook up to it. And if they don't hook up to it, then it's their fault. So they would have the ability to hook up to the loan. They would have to pay a water bill.
Yeah.
But they would have water to the home. But to have that many people all agree, I don't know if she would ever get there. I don't think anything would ever happen.
I know the city of Oregon's been trying this, for a long time about it.
Or if we build it, we get the grant funding to build it. Go ahead and build it.
Under the managing director services, one of them is communication, community engagement. If we have it.
Yeah. But I think it's gonna take time for us to get to, we've got to get some conceptual designs complete. Those kind of things done first, and then get it out to the public.
Yeah.
So you think that the grants will cover those kind of things, or is the Port of Morrow going to be?
I think the grants.
Saddled with those.
Opportunities through DEQ for some of these. So.
And initially on that board, we had talked about adding, city of Berrien and city of Portland's city managers to that board, and we would make it a 6-member board. And that's when we decided to work on the subcommittee instead.
I guess my only concern then is, we do change the language so it's in Morrow County, so it's a little more specific geographically.
But if you read that in its entirety, I get the impression it's, for the benefit of the parties and the residents of properties within the Laguama. It doesn't say it's tied just to Morrow County. It's gonna benefit Laguama. That's how I read it.
It is the Morrow County Clean Water Consortium, it is for Morrow County.
Right.
I mean,
It says it right at the top.
That's it.
Okay, so you think that language is adequate?
I don't see where it's negative. I don't know I don't know that it makes us responsible for all of Laguama. It says we're trying to benefit Laguama. That's the way I interpret it.
But things might sneak over into Umatilla County.
Well, that would
See
be
if there
the
would be a
decision of the board, which
Yeah.
is 2 members of Port Commission.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, that language, and as far as the money, I mean, if we find out it's not enough, we'll have another discussion, and this is a step to start and get moving.
The organizational, the agenda for the organizational meeting, include adopting a proposed budget. Who's gonna, or,
We haven't seen it, that's what the county's working on.
oh, it is, so there, someone's working on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we find with these IGAs, like we found with the CDA, you know, then we get an employee and then is that a grant funded employee and all these things that the CDA path is going down right now are things that we probably should, you know, make sure that they're incorporated in this, you know. Where are those, who is going to pay for those employees if we do get them? Those kind of things that the CDA is facing right now, policy. You know, just those exact things that are going on there that we don't have the answers for. So I think there's lots of things to consider, and I hope we've. I mean, we just got the full thing today. I would like to take a look at it a little bit longer and think that.
It should be identical to the draft that was in your packet.
When I was looking at, like, it does avoid some of the problems with the CDA, with the description of the executive director's responsibilities and who's, I thought it did address at least some of those issues.
It might some, but still, again, you know, you get a grant and just things to think about. I don't like to rush into things and if we contemplate this real well.
Rest of the board, I don't necessarily feel the need to do it right today myself, but I'm okay with the way it's written.
I am too.
Yeah, I am too, I think. People care for it.
Okay, as long as we avoid the issue that we have at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to make a motion if that's what you're looking for.
If you'd like to, you might.
I would make a motion that we enter into an intergovernmental agreement to establish Morrow County for clean water consortium between Port of Morrow and Morrow County.
I'll second that.
Okay, Rick has moved, Joel second, more discussion on that. One question I have, Kelly, do you have an idea of how we might say that in there if we were to change it? There's a lot of
I didn't go
legal-
to that detail. I mean, there's so many, you know, details about all of those things that, like I say, that we're going through. We would have, you know, we're looking at getting HR help and we're, you know, now are we going to, who's going to do the HR help? Who's going to do the accounting? Are we soon going to need an accountant, like the CDA now is proposing that, you know, we now need an accountant. And all of these things just start adding up and I guess if that's where we want to go. I've heard the county say numerous times that they really don't want to put any money towards this and it's that the nitrate problem is not their problem. And time after time, I've heard that in discussions and meetings. And so to have them as our partners where they have said that they really don't want to contribute money. Where do we go with that?
I would say I've listened to those meetings too, and I think they want to take a step forward to try to address the issue. And I got a different opinion that, yes, they understand that they're not in the water business to provide water, but they understand that there's an issue that they need to move this forward. So I think this is a step in their good faith to try to address the issue. And I think that's what we need to do as well. We could wordsmith it to death and still be working on this 2 years from now. I don't know that we can address every concern that we ever come across in one IGA. I mean, things come up and we have to change them.
As long as we're, you know, I can go with that, as long as we're willing to address issues that do come up and make permanent changes, you know, for the betterment of the organization. You know, we need to amend the IGA so that it has clearly defined employment of the director, for example. I would hope we would be willing to do that. But I think that moving forward, I'm okay.
I'm certainly okay with the concept of the idea. I'm just, I think it's time to get moving on those projects.
And
I just have
Make
concerns.
sure everyone knows, this is about safe drinking water. This is about safe drinking water, it's not about nitrates. It's about safe drinking water.
Okay, any other questions, discussion? Okay, motion on the table, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, passes unanimous. Thank you. Any other new business?
I don't have anything else, unless you have any other questions.
Okay. Nothing from the board. We'll move on to staff reports, project updates.
Well, Bill Grant's moved into closeout phase, so we're working on getting some reports or some guidance on reports for closeout. I think all the contractors other than one are closed out completely. The rest is paperwork.
When you say closed out, I mean, they're finished, they're paid.
Grant closeout procedures.
Oh,
And Jason could probably give you a better description of what that is.
Yeah, so, we've been in contact with Morrow and they just owe us the last, the crane. But they're gonna contact Jacob and his team, their engineering, and we'll get this properly closed out. Fill out the finals of the forms and anything else they need, and we'll be done. Yeah. 2018? Yeah,
It was a long time.
yeah, a long time ago. So,
take time, yeah.
Came in for whatever word.
Actually, it was Christmas time when we got that award in 2000.
That's a Christmas Day miracle.
You know, I think HB 2001 took 7 or 8 years, so this one was pretty abbreviated.
How about, our other Marriott project? Marine Highway.
I don't have a lot of update. Jeff would be able to give a lot more in depth. I know he was waiting on an agreement from Murat. We got our environmental piece done and submitted, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, it's done, resubmitted again from Brian, so hopefully Aaron, Murat doesn't have any. We're not using Brian.
Would there be any kind of, we got to the point where there's any kind of in-water work? that we
There is
could
a
do
lot of work,
This
dredging.
this spring.
No, it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. I think it would get this closed out, this agreement closed out. It's probably gonna be towards the end of January before we have an agreement with Murat to continue, which doesn't give us enough time to do the in-water work. We did bid it out. We do have a potential low bidder. We're probably gonna have to reject that bid and bid it out next winter. Next winter is our last winter of the permit. That'll get turned south and dredging.
I would say comparatively to what we've seen across the market, as the bid came in, it was good.
It was good.
It was higher than the original budget, but the original budget was done in
2019.
2019. So, thought it was a good bid.
Yeah.
So when you say it'll be the end of the permit,
Yeah, it'll be the last time we can do in water work is March of 2026. That's as long as that in water work goes for. So we have to have the turn cell complete and the dredging complete.
so do you apply for another permit for the next, whatever else you do? Or
We would have to, yeah, if we did something else there. we would
do you apply for the permit with basically nothing on the agenda to do, just to
No.
have it? Or do you have to have it processed?
Yeah.
List.
Who permits?
Army Corps of Engineers.
Are they hard to get?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
That's part of my question, how far ahead do you have to
they're
go?
years.
Yeah.
It's actually 2 permits, and one was a 7-year permit, and the second one is a 10-year permit with maintenance on the backside. Army Corps, PSL, and Department of Fisheries.
Which, I mean, the funding is in place as long as we get the agreement signed.
Exactly, I was hoping that we can sign the agreements now, pull the trigger. With the contractor and have it done before March of this year. This did.
So, other projects, airport is the main water line being installed by Silver Creek's, moving along. They have been dealing with some really hard rock, so it's been slow going, but it's picking up. They're getting into more suitable soils to dig in, getting into our pre-blasted areas, so they're moving right well.
Yeah, all in dirt, all in bedding or?
So, we didn't have to haul in any bedding. We hauled in a little bit of bedding as far as crushed aggregate goes, but we developed enough material in the blasting portion of the road construction to develop most of the material we have on site. It was a big cost benefit to process it on site rather than to bring it in from a ways away, especially in the quantities that we were dealing with. The distribution station for pressurizing the system and the storage tank, it bids tomorrow. We open bids tomorrow on it. So, and we're fully intending to meet our construction timeline of July 1st, 2025. We'll be able to provide water. So I think our schedule as it sits today, depending on how the bid goes tomorrow, but we'll be done and complete June 1st. So give us a 30-day if something drastic happens during construction. So, the lagoon project's moving strong. They're ahead of schedule. Things are going well. I haven't got the most up-to-date quantity of material they've moved, but I think that they're 35 feet tall now on the dike, so looks good. Well, most of the aggregate's been hauled, all the aggregate's been hauled in, so the trucks are off the road. That's good. We've got a project kicking off. We opened bids 2 weeks ago on the Gar-Swanson Road extension. Right, a road and utility services to 186. The bid went very well. Prices came in under budget. And contractor's gonna start mobilizing on the 16th. So we're gonna have a construction meeting on the 10th and mobilization on the 16th.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen prices like that since pre-COVID.
No. We've been hearing rumors for 3 or 4 months that the market in the construction world is really drying up. And it showed on bid days. There was not just one apparent low bidder, there was 3 or 4 very, very competitive bids. So we're seeing prices, well, the price on this bid are pre-COVID. Haven't seen asphalt and dirt work prices for 10 years, so.
We'll take it.
All right, any other projects? Okay. What else do you want to touch on?
This is the big ones.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep. Okay. How about maintenance update?
Just do one. You got some pictures. Thanks for that, by the way. Great. Yeah, it turned out, it's a nice facility.
Did you
It's a
guys-
great thing to have in Mulch.
Did you guys all get to see the video that Morrow created, that just kind of the wrap up video of the?
No.
I'll get that link, sure, you guys, I'll share it. with everyone.
But I did drive by at night and I saw your wavy wall.
I noticed it too.
Saw that?
I saw that. Me
I will
too.
say, we have met on site with the contractor and.
That was pretty polite.
Yeah, I was too.
Whether we get there or not, it's gonna, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, in hindsight, I wish we would have went with this instead of stucco. Because that's what the original building is. which stucco and ephes are fairly similar, it's just different compounds, different construction types. But stucco is more wavy, they have more bearing in center, but that is. Yeah, it's a little bit, it really is, so. We're waiting for comments back from the contractor.
Is that repairable?
What's that?
Is it repairable?
Well,
Improvable?
skim coat the whole thing again. I mean, that's the only way you're gonna feel those waves. I also asked, Bill Hancock to possibly move the lights a little bit, still uplight it.
Last time was put the lights on the other direction.
Out towards the freeway. In the eye. Yeah, but there's some other concerns with the stuff too, we got some premature cracking going on. So, which is more concerning to me than the waviness. But that'll be a first. Next one. Airport water line going in.
So that was pretty hard right there. You can see that took them about 2 weeks to get that far. They were welding a bunch of pipe. They weren't only digging, but they're headed east now and making pretty good progress. So
Are they still having to blast that?
no. So everything that was gonna get blasted is blasted. There's a few hard spots. So when we did a bunch of preliminary investigating, dug 250 test holes, bores, resonant, geotechnical sounding with, geotechnical engineers, and we made our best guesses where we needed to blast and where we didn't, and we definitely ended up on the site, we should have blasted a little more, but I mean, yeah.
And the outside is actually where you see the rock. That's an older picture, isn't
It is.
it? Okay.
When you say the outside,
You see the rock?
Yeah.
So in theory,
That's the outside toe of the slope
okay.
of the pond.
the high hazard dam rating, which it is due to inundation issues, dam safety makes you put in a blanket drain. And it's a really fine product that doesn't allow natural soil migration. So if it gets saturated, the natural soils can't settle down and create a slip plane on the outside of the dike. So that layer around the outside of the dike goes around the entire perimeter, and it's 4 foot thick of this special gradation, custom made rock. That goes around the entire perimeter, ties it into the natural grade. So that was all that rock that we had to haul in the 130,000 yards of.
Pump station up from 5.
And that was an expansion of, we had a pre-existing pump station, and with the addition of the 770 acres on the north side of the farm, we had to expand that pump station, so the old barn went away and replacing it with a bigger structure.
And then the pipeline going into farm 6.
Do our crews do that welding?
Yes. Okay. Our crews are doing all the work on this project right now.
It's plastic pipe, that's what I meant.
It is.
It's plastic.
Yeah, it's actually 25 and we've got crews that would qualify to build, I think, with all that.
Okay, is that all the maintenance?
That's it.
Yeah, thank you. Financial update.
Okay,
There,
you have, it was displayed on top of your thing, that the cash report, which is about the only thing we have this month. you'll see that we are spending a little more than we're bringing in, but that's what we would be expecting to have happen as we spend the project funds. We drew $3 billion out of the project fund to pay the initial invoice for the excavators of the pond.
I think I heard you say 3 billion.
That's what I thought I heard.
I was gonna go, where did that come from?
That's what we're told.
Yeah.
I didn't even have it. Not even worried taking the glasses off, too.
We also made our bond payments, our debt payments. In November.
Oh, good point. I guess I thought that went without saying, but yes.
Yeah.
We paid off the two oldest, special public works fund. One was scheduled to pay off, the other we paid off because it has some requirements in it that we have never followed from the day that we got the loan. It talks about using the crane fund to pay that bill, and we've never had a crane fund. It was for the T3 crane. And it was just that they had a few quirky things in them that we really wanted to get rid of as we pursue the Whitfield loan.
Good. Anything else? Okay, usage reports. Anybody have those? Look at those. Any questions on those uses?
You'll see the water usage is down substantially. As reflected.
That's. We want. Yeah.
Okay. Nothing else for the rest of the commissioners? Okay, very good. We'll move on. Any other staff reports we need to know about? Okay. Moving on to other reports. Willow Creek's already done. BCDA.
In your packet, you should have my report that I provided you, along with the base one. We're kind of wrapping up the year, so the final projects for the home buyers incentive program, we have funded, 235 or 240,000 of that money already out of the 250 that we budget. We completed the sidewalk project, which was a partnership with, I think that was a little over $300,000 project. We are working on the middle of the Sage, Center's play structure update with partnerships of AWS and Fremont Painting Farms. And on the whole, that project is a little over 300,000 as well, because it costs a lot to put it in play structure these days. We have, working on our small SBA, Boardman Business Opportunity Incubator, which they're called, with the federal dollars that we've received here, a couple months ago. We're going to start planning on taking those funds and what we're going to be, what that retail facility is going to look like here pretty soon for the 2025. Hoping to break ground in 2025 on that building. Partnership with the city of Portland, they're our fiscal agent for that project. We will be looking into other retail opportunities, because we feel that I feel like the retail space is the route that we really need to focus on doing economic development for the city of Portland and our community, to get amenities here to allow some small businesses to get out of some areas that are not ideal for their location for their businesses. We have some bigger spaces. We have no brick and mortar. We have a lot of people knocking on doors around here interested in purchasing land and building. So I think that's our portion that we can kind of partake and support on that. We have a small mural project. We'll be working with the new car wash owners to be put a new mirror, or welcome to Boardman mural at the end of that to make that more appealing.
just working on a bunch of, wrapping up a lot of little small projects for the year and then planning big projects for 2020.
I had a question on your sage stuff here, on marketing outreach. On the bottom one, it talks about print flyers for Don Junior.
I saw that too.
And I figured it was a typo, but I'm just asking.
No, it isn't. So it's a marketing, location, but it's the drive-through, on 395 in Hermiston, right there next to the Quickie Loop, or one of those gas stations, that drive-through place where you can drive through and pick up food and, small grocery items and stuff like that. We have a sign on the wall where you drive through and you get to see that. And we get to provide them flyers we get to do 600 flyers every month of anything that we want to promote, and they hand those out to every person that comes through their door, and they hand them out for us. So we print those, and it's a very small investment for the return we're getting, the number of people like, whether they read it or see it, but they're at least handing them out, and it's direct marketing to people within the Hermiston area, which is a hard area for us to reach. Just due to the size and the layout of it and getting into that area, so.
I mean,
Okay.
if you've ever been in the burrito line at walking right there, it's busy.
I don't think I've ever been through it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You're
But the
missing
name
the
of it's
best
Don.
breakfast burrito.
Yes, I got a great breakfast.
The saddest part about not bringing dinner was
And Angel is from that community, he's very familiar with that area right there, and he's like, we have to do this, and I'm gonna say it was like a $500-600 investment for a year. And we get to hand out all these flyers, unlimited amount, it was crazy,
Whatever works.
right?
Okay, anything else? Good there?
Okay, so,
All right, Ikeabo, anything on Ikeabo?
I was out of the country for that.
Okay.
I wasn't able to say anything. The service system's still going ahead, things are moving forward. I didn't have anything last week, hopefully it's positive steps forward, project's already in motion. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, any other reports? I mean,
I would like to request, so I would like in the January report to be able to present a little more detailed report on BCDA, on what we've done with some more pictures and different stuff, so if you guys have the time.
okay, put it on it.
Debbie's jealous.
Okay, for the good of the order. Anything, Lisa, that we need, commissioners, okay? Upcoming events, it's on the next page. Got a holiday party on the 13th, I know that.
Has everyone responded?
I need to.
You're late.
I may not have.
I think Brandy told us she was like at 239 people, 239 people so far. So she's continuing to email from employees that haven't responded, but that didn't have that much.
I thought the QR code worked really well. It was simple, it was easy, and
Yeah.
I actually was able to even do it, so if I can do it, anybody can do it. And it really,
15 seconds.
yeah, it was really simple. It wasn't a process.
I do plan to attend the SDAO conference too, but I'll get in touch with that.
I think I'd like to too.
It's in
February.
Okay.
It's not people like that.
End of February.
The hotel is already full though, just that one.
It's.
Yeah, but there's a red line next.
Yeah.
Across the street. Think the red line is good. Oh.
No, there's another hotel option. Where's that?
Walk in the snow.
Okay. So we have executive session, you want to go into, Lisa?
We do, and I'm not expecting,
We may.
yeah, let's leave our public meeting on.
Okay. Okay. All right, so let me read our executive session spiel here. The board will hold an executive session meeting for the permissible reasons stated below under ORS 192.6602. Representatives of the news media and designated staff and other persons shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience will be asked to leave the room. The public virtual meeting link will be closed during the executive session, and permissible executive session meetings are not subject to EP 2560. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision will be made in this executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room in person and open the public virtual Zoom meeting again. For for the purpose of consideration of deliberations with the port's executive director and other staff members have been designated by the port to negotiate transactions related to real property transactions, ORS 192.6602E. And B, for the purpose of consultation with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed, ORS 192.6602H. It looks like it's about 3:20. We will recess our open meeting and we will take a 5-minute break and then reconvene in executive session. 4:44, we'll reconvene our open session. And John has some questions.
I had a member of the public come up and ask me about solar projects and the port competing with farmers replacing solar projects on their place, and I didn't know what to answer because I didn't. Is there any information you can give me on that, or why it's not true?
I mean, we do have some battery ones that are interested in stuff.
No, we have existing leases.
Well, I know they do, but they've always been there. I mean, they've been there forever.
What do you think the question was, really?
Well, I think, I mean, it was just a place to me, just like that. I mean, I think that these farmers, okay, I'm sorry, maybe the farmers are talking to possible solar companies. And I guess they're saying, well, the port gets the sort of port offers that they're, I don't know, I'm not sure.
I will tell you, we are not competing for any solar. We don't want more solar, but we did go oppose solar on Jake Madison's farm when he had a potential solar lease that they were taking action on. And we opposed it because it was EFU and that.
Yeah, we needed a surface.
Or for disposal, so that, we did do that, but that was, gosh, well, over a year ago.
It was, yeah, it was a $10 million project.
I remember they were hoping that's it.
He
Yeah, they were.
reminds us once in a while. about
Yeah, you
that.
might just,
But really, there's no other
But
solar
no.
that we would compete against farm.
the only one we have is the airport one, and that was done in the carrying.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we could have got out of that, we.
Yeah, we tried.
Very last minute, hoping that they wouldn't exercise the option on that. And it's, yeah,
We failed on.
it's too bad. And I don't know if in the packet, there was a letter from, Cameron Krebs. Was there a letter in there?
No, let's see.
And not in the packet, in your folder, maybe? Is it in your folder? I thought we passed that on. He just wrote a little note,
We got our own meeting. There's nothing in, I don't see anything.
okay, we'll bring it next time, but he wrote, a note basically and asked for our cooperation. He was putting cattle and or sheep out on the solar project that, for a contractor. And so he was doing some, brush removal on behalf of the contractor, and we were like, there were cows out there, and we called solar folks and said.
And they weren't mine.
Not supposed to be cows out there, and it's like, I called Kelly, it's like, we're getting rid of the cows, you know, sorry, we said this. Cameron came in the next week and explained what. He actually, they could call me, it was Sunday morning, he's like, I'm looking at your cows at the airport. And so I called back to, the solar lease folks on Monday, and, then Cameron came in and explained what he was doing. It's a great story, it really is a good story, so I think it's good that they're there, but I made him put up a fence.
Yeah, they have to, and they have to move it.
He has a lease, he had that's the lease area,
And
we have too much going on out there.
the, CREZ 3 meeting that's coming up, is that company coming in, or what is that?
I just saw, a beautiful thing for that.
Right.
today.
Is that the company that was talking to the CREZ earlier?
No,
No. Something different?
I think it is, yeah. I don't remember exactly what Dave told me. But there's some AWS money coming in. We got.
There's money, there is money, and, it was, extension of the boundary for another project outside of the current boundary.
So it's breaking ground, is it the $5 million breaking ground money coming from AWS meeting?
It came,
So it's the second one, it's coming, the second $5 million, go through.
no, sorry, $5 million payment, on the 202.
Oh, okay, so this is the first one, CREZ 3.
Expansion of the boundary is for profit.
Yeah,
Okay.
expansion of that, yeah. He wanted to know how we want to look at that.
And when we talked about that meeting before, went back to back to them, and they weren't ready to move forward, so. Canceled the meeting, so now he's trying to get it back to everything.
Okay, there's-
So does the boundary go clear out to 3 Mile?
It does not, that's why we're having a meeting.
Oh.
It's to, yeah,
We can't. We just have to modify.
yes,
Chris,
Isn't there an island out there already?
there is for the first digester project.
Yeah. Okay, we good then? From the phone. Okay. Well, it's 4:50, I'll adjourn.